Oh, hey guys, what's up? So I was just playing my new favorite game, Shovel Knight, and I was able to talk to the team that made this amazing game. One of the guys, I had an interview with him. His name is David D'Angelo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it was super awesome being able to learn how this amazing game came to be and just kind of some of the things that they had to overcome. Because with every project that you do, even like these professional companies, you have to overcome these walls, these obstacles that are in your way. And they make you stronger, they help you to be a better team. And Yacht Club Games is making a lot of super awesome games these days, and they're working on some more, so I'm going to be talking a bit about those too. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get to those questions. Starting with the first question, I asked how long does it take to create an indie game from planning to illustrating and designing, kind of to the end process. And David said that it depends on the size of the game, the experience of the team, and a ton of other factors. Shovel Knight took them 18 months from start to finish to that initial release, which all in all is pretty impressive. So nice job, Yacht Club Games. The next question that we had is what inspired their newest game, CyberShadow? And in talking to David, he said that CyberShadow was inspired by NES games like Ninja Gaiden, Shatterhand, and Batman. And Arn, the developer, really was interested in creating a Ninja Gaiden style 2D platformer where the world was interconnected, kind of like it is in the 3D Ninja Gaiden game. And like watching these trailers, I'm like totally getting that vibe of Ninja Gaiden. And it's a super awesome game. CyberShadow looks super awesome too. I love the graphics that they use for this game, slightly different than Shovel Knight, but still super awesome. So the next question that we had is what is the story about how Yacht Club Games came to be? What did it start out as? Kind of its humble beginnings. And David talked about how they were kind of this core group of people that worked together at another game studio and then left that studio so they could focus on making their own games and trying out new things like Shovel Knight and now CyberShadow, trying out all these different ideas. And it's just an awesome thing to hear that story with them. We also talked about what obstacles and setbacks that they faced in indie game development and what they've done to overcome them. The biggest obstacle that they talked about was learning how to run a company, which is a big deal. It's a hard thing to run your own company. And they overcame that obstacle by doing their research. And that's something that's super important, is that we do our research, that we're studying into these things that we're interested in, and then we can make a career out of those things because we're taking those things seriously in our lives. So one thing that I noticed while playing Shovel Knight and the different characters was that each one had a story, and they were pretty cool stories too. So I wanted to talk to the team about that. So I asked them what role does a good story play in their games. And David talked about for them, they try to create a story so that it's there for the people that want more than just the pure mechanics of a game. That story can be a reward for you stomaching a particularly difficult challenge or just kind of the icing on the cake of a fun experience. And I couldn't agree more. Like, story is king in animation, in video games. Having that story gives that game so much more substance. It makes it so much more deep. Like, I think about playing Legend of Zelda games and how the stories are so amazing and interwoven, and it's just awesome. So having that story really does make that difference. In talking to David, we also talked about the idea, how it came to be for Shovel Knight, and kind of some of the characters that came with it too. Really what they wanted to do was make a game that was focused on the down thrust in Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. And they thought about a scooping action might be fun, pairing it with that down thrust. You could flip over an enemy, then attack its exposed underbelly. They thought really the only tool that fit the bill was a shovel, and thus is born Shovel Knight. The characters, like the villains, were heavily inspired by Mega Man, which I really saw a lot in playing that game. And I love Mega Man, so it was super awesome seeing that kind of callback, that homage to Mega Man. We also were able to talk a little bit about why they went into indie game development over joining a larger company. And it's something that I think about a lot, and I know you guys probably think about a lot too. And it's nice to work for a company where you know everyone's names. That's something that I talked about, is that familiarity, that camaraderie between the team. And more importantly, they find it much easier and more fun to collaborate and build games when they're that small team. And that's something that's awesome, having that small team. And that's why I love indie game development and indie teams in general, because they can accomplish all these amazing things and they're all contributing such a huge part because they're such a small team, but they're able to accomplish these super cool things. It's very inspiring. So, of course, I also wanted to ask them what video games from their childhood have been most influential to them in game development. And David talked about how there's too many to name. Personally, he was very inspired by Nintendo, Capcom, and Konami games through the NES and the Super Nintendo eras. And me too, like those were games that inspired me a lot. Some of the games that inspired me a lot were the original Legend of Zelda, also Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, things like that. They were a huge part of my childhood. Also NBA Jam, that's a super awesome game. Now on to some really awesome things we're able to talk about. So I wanted to ask David if he could share any wisdom with budding indie video game developers and creators alike, what would it be? And he had 3 things. The first thing being do your research. And doing your research is super important because, like I said, it's really taking that time beforehand to prepare, to learn as much as you can about this field that you wanted to go into, these things that you want to do, these worlds that you want to create, so that you have so much behind that. It's not just starting from scratch, but really having something to be a nice foundation for that, a firm foundation to support your dreams. The second thing is being persistent, and persistence is super important because there's going to be opposition, there's going to be all these things that are going to be coming at you, and it's going to be hard. And being persistent and having that perseverance to keep moving forward no matter what, that's a quote by Walt Disney, just keep moving forward because there's so many great things ahead of you as you keep moving forward and work hard through those things. So the third thing that David talked about was build as many games from scratch as you can. And that's something that I've never really thought about, but I've done a little bit of it, some game design, and it can really help you a lot. With game design or anything, just trying to constantly make as many games as you can. Or if you're going into animation, as many little shorts as you can. Or writing different little short stories. All these things can help you to hone those skills and see what works and what doesn't work. So I really like this comment that he had. Another thing that I talked about with David was what lessons that he's learned during his time in indie game development, or what he wished he had known before. And in his own words, he said, "I wish I knew that as long as I worked hard and focused on improving, that I could build good games. At the start, it seemed like I could never know enough, or that if I was tackling a problem I wasn't knowledgeable in, I'd never be able to create something great. But working every day at improving really worked." And this is a really awesome, inspiring thing for me. Just keep on moving forward, keep working hard. Even when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, just keep on moving forward. And another question that I had for him that I've been thinking about for a while is what influenced the title Yacht Club Games for the game company. He said the name was chosen because we thought it was funny. Lots of companies at the time were very focused on getting rich rather than making fun games. We thought that the juxtaposition of snootiness of a yacht club and video games was amusing, while simultaneously gave off the air of playfulness, which I think is a pretty cool story. And I love the name, by the way. The last question that I was able to ask them was, what is something that someone can do each day to grow as a video game developer, no matter what their age? And David talked about how studying as many games as you can and try to figure out how they are built. And that's kind of what we're gonna finish with, is when you're playing those video games, that you're studying how they're made, what makes them entertaining, so that you can learn how to make your own games that are entertaining, that are amazing, and that people will love, and that you will love because it's your creation and you put a lot of work into this. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed it. And being able to have an interview with David, that was a super awesome opportunity for me. And I'm going to be trying to upload a video every Thursday. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.